Welcome to Up Front with Jeff Coleman. My name is Kress. Today we're going to be talking about the vaccine, Missouri issues, and a whole lot more. Stay put. Here we go. My name is Kress Cambers. Thanks for stopping in, guys. I am here with the namesake of this podcast, Jeff Coleman.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
All right, bud. So we're going to kick everything off talking about the vaccine mandates and everything. Is that correct?
You betcha.
All right. What do we got so far, bud?
Well, this has been a big month here. We've got the President of the United States who is putting a mandate out for all companies that are have 100 employees or more. Sorry about my voice. I've been talking a lot about my tax bill, and my voice is really hoarse, so we'll have to bear with me. But President Biden put this mandate out. It's not yet enforceable, but the problem is that these companies that have been out there waiting for an excuse to do this now have that excuse, even though the mandate isn't official yet. As of right now, when the president put this out, I can't remember the date, but he has 4 months to come up with the talking points and all the things that he wants the mandate to actually state. So the problem with that is that in 4 months from the date he put that out, it goes past the dates that a lot of these companies and these government entities have stated that they want you to make your decision. So we have a lot of people out there right now who have either made a decision that they either leave their job, or the decision to take the vaccine, which they didn't want to do for whatever reason it was. And that's the part that's the problem, because we are being forced to do something one way or the other by the government. And that is just not what our country's all about. I think it boils back down into our own state, where again we've got people that have already taken the vaccine when they didn't want to. We have more people coming up in, I think it's November the 7th, I believe, for whatever reason that seems like the date, and they have to make that decision by that date. And my frustration is that we as a legislature are handcuffed, because we, in order to call a special session to try to do something about this, have to have 75%, 3/4 of the legislature on both the House and in the Senate in order to call a special session. And there's just not enough numbers to do that. So it really goes back to the governor. And the governor, for whatever reason, is just not doing anything in reference to this mandate.
Why do you think that is?
I for the life of me, I can't figure it out. I will tell you that he likes to push the control of the local communities, and I get that to a degree, but right now we're past the point of pushing this out and just kicking the can down the road. We need to do something now.
We've seen this here in Kansas City, Jackson County area, that the virus isn't a threat like it was at the very beginning. The hospital rates are down. The people that are getting COVID are down. Why are we still going through this and wearing a mask? That's the big question that I want to propose, because I know Jackson County just re-upped their mandate for masks. I know Kansas City did as well. Same thing that happened the last time, because Frank White's a follower, not a leader. He followed what Kansas City's doing. So, I understand that, let's get back onto the governor, but I understand that he is very laissez-faire about everything. But I think there comes a certain point, that you probably should step in as a governor and say, we're not seeing the infection rates that we've seen in the past. the virus is starting to get under control. Why don't we let the people go ahead and go without a mask and see what happens for the next 30, 60 days?
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen because he wants to give the local control to the local, your local counties, your local cities, and such. So that's never going to happen because that's just what he does. But I'll go back to the point where, isn't it interesting that you have all these people out there that are saying, you are putting me at risk because you don't have the vaccine and you're not wearing a mask, but yet the numbers are going down even though they're not wearing the mask or they're not vaccinated. And they want to keep talking about this narrative that people that are unvaccinated are in the hospital, they're taking up the rooms, they're getting put on ventilators. And while that may be true for some, that's not the general population. As we mentioned, and you can look at it on the numbers through Jackson County Health Department, through the state, the numbers are going down, even when you have the population that is not vaccinated
Or masked.
So help me understand the science behind that. Because when you look at the box, I keep saying this, when you look at the box of masks that you buy, they all say these masks do not prevent the virus.
So, Jeff, it has been said that you lost your way and you are denying people's liberty by making it unsafe. You personally are making it unsafe for people to go to Price Chopper. Can you talk on that real quick?
I'm trying to think of where I might have seen that at. Maybe it was on Facebook, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Look, everybody should have the right and the freedom to do whatever they feel is in their best interest. For a person that goes into Costco or Price Chopper or Lowe's or any other store, if you are so concerned about going in, you can wear a mask. Because you're sitting here telling me how, if I wear a mask, I should be wearing a mask to protect you. If the mask works so well, then you should be protected. If the vaccine works so well, you should be protected. Why is it so important for me to get a vaccine or wear a mask if the vaccine and the mask are so protective? The efficacy of those two they're just not there. So why am I going to get a vaccine or wear a mask if it's not going to work?
Right. What you were saying, let me follow up on that real quick. The efficacy on it is, you're diminishing the efficacy on it. If you're saying that you have to get the vaccine, you have to wear a mask, double mask, whatever, you're just saying the efficacy doesn't work on either of them. Because what we've been seeing through these studies, more and more and more coming out from the CDC, and health departments, that people that get the vaccine are still able to contract COVID. They're still able to pass on COVID. So what's the point? Other than it's supposed to make you less sick or not go to the hospital. But we've been seeing people still going into the hospital that has COVID after they've gotten a shot. So what is the point when the survivability of this virus is let's just call it 98% on the low end. It's 99 point something, but let's call it 98% on the low end. I can make a prophylactic comparison there as well. They're 99% effective, but I won't go into that. So what they're doing is diminishing the efficient. Say that word for me. I just lost it. Efficacy of the vaccine and of the face masks.
Well, you mentioned that you can still get the you can still get the COVID and still pass it on even if you have the vaccine. So I have a constituent, I won't mention the name, that texted me and said she is concerned about her dad, who is in his later stages of life, and he has been fully vaccinated,
Mm-hmm.
and he got COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to the doctor. They sent him back home, and told him just to wait it out. And the bottom line is that he has, as an elderly person, being vaccinated and getting COVID, and he's having difficulties breathing. It's not to the point where they're concerned yet, but it's definitely making a difference in his breathing. And I told her, you go to your doctor and you tell the doctor that you need what's the
Monoclonal antibodies.
thank you. Get that in your system now. Don't wait. Make them do it, because those are the things that help us get past COVID if we get it and we get it in time.
So I know, I understand that Ron DeSantis, and I want to, excuse me, I want to circle back as well.
Oh, Jen Psaki's there.
Oh, I didn't mean to sound it like that. I'm going to Jen Psaki circle back, but I want to touch on this. You know, Ron DeSantis is setting up something great in his state, in the state of Florida, that they're doing the monoclonal antibodies. They're setting up stations everywhere in the state, so no matter where you go, you're able to get that treatment. Maybe we should be looking at that here in the state of Missouri as well.
Oh, we absolutely should. And it's sad that she didn't even know about that. These are things that we have to get the word out, so that if you do get the virus, that you know what to do and what to talk about with your doctor, so they're not just sending you back home and waiting for you to see if you're going to go over the ledge and have to be put back in the hospital and get put on a ventilator, which then the outcome is not very, very good if you get on the ventilator.
Correct.
So, excuse me. We've got to get that message out there. And again, it goes back to the leadership. It goes back to the governor. And I know I'm a fan of the governor. I have been since the very beginning. So, Governor, if you're listening to this, please don't take this wrong. Please understand that this is constructive criticism that you need to get out and get the message out about the benefits of these different treatments out there, so that we know what we're doing when we have someone, whether it's someone that's healthy or whether it's somebody that's not healthy, that they get these treatments immediately.
They're the different therapeutic
There you go.
treatments that are out there. And I'm glad you touched on that, because that's what I was going to circle back to, Jeff. Sounded like Jen Psaki. But what are we going to be? Let me reword this. What are you able to do? What are your constituents able to do? What can we do to get the governor's attention? I know you have written a letter to the governor personally, and I know you signed a joint letter to have the governor call a special session. What else can your constituents do? What else can we do? What can you do? Not only the constituents in your area, but constituents, the Missouri residents around the state, what can they do to get the governor to call a special session?
Well, you mentioned that I wrote a letter personally to the governor, no response. I signed on to some other letters that went to the governor, no response. So I called him this week, and I was not able to talk to him directly. He is not taking any appointments this week, because I want to talk to him personally. Again, I like the governor, but I think he needs to start doing some different things in reference to the dire positions that our constituents are in and the choices that they have to make. And so I called his office. I was able to talk to two of his staff members. And on those conversations, basically, I'm getting pushback saying there's nothing that they can do. There's the Attorney General has got it keyed up that as soon as they have that definition from the president on his executive order, that he is going to join with many other states' attorney generals to push back on this non-constitutional executive order. So
I'm so glad that our Attorney General is standing up for the rights of the Missouri citizens, and I'm so glad that actually we'll touch on this here in a second, but our state treasurer, Scott Fitzpatrick, is also standing up. But I want you to talk about the governor because he does not have, it seems like he doesn't have any backbone.
well, the governor, as I mentioned, I had conversation with his staff people. There's pushback because we don't have the exact legal definitions, and the executive order is not going into place yet. However, we do know what he's going to say. We do know that he is pushing this out as far as he can, talking about the President of the United States. He's pushing out this executive order as far as he can before he puts it official, because he knows that the companies are going to have to, they've got their own timelines, and their timelines are before he has to make his final. So it could come out where he just drops it. But the companies have already gone forward and they've put their mandates in place.
Yes, they have.
That's the scary part. So bottom line is, in that conversation, they said that they couldn't do anything. And I said, but you can. You can call a special session, and you can allow us to come in and debate and put together something that's going to help our constituents, our Missouri constituents out. And the response to that was, well, you know what happens when we call a special session, many times the two chambers don't always come to the same conclusion, and then it becomes a waste. While that's true, we're talking about people's lives here. We're not talking about a new law or a new bill.
So, we talked about this the other day, Jeff, that this is very infuriating that the governor has said that, or I'm sorry, the office has said that, and the spokespeople for the governor has said that. This would be a chance to see the representatives and the senators of Missouri to be put on record. Who wants to help the citizens of Missouri? Let's put that on record. If anything comes out of that, that's what it should be.
Well, if it doesn't come out of it, if it does end up with a stalemate, everybody knows where people stand. Everybody understands, hey, these particular people are not on our side.
And then you know what we have to do? Listeners, here we go. Here's an action item for you. We need to call the governor's office. We need to get a special session going on. Ask the governor politely.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask the governor for a special session. But if you find out that this special session does get called and your representative, your senator, does not vote in your interest, guess what? You look for another representative. You look for another senator. We have to get these people out that are not going for your best interests, that are not standing up for freedom, that are not standing up for personal liberty. Jeff, what's the number to the governor's mansion? Guys, we're going to give you a second. Get a piece of paper right now and a pen, or pull your phone out. The governor's mansion, we're going to give you a phone number, okay? The governor's mansion in Jefferson City. I'm sorry, the office of the governor in Jefferson City. We're going to go ahead and give you a second to pull out a pen and a paper.
Okay, guys, so the governor's cell phone number is 573-751-3222. Once again, 573-751-3222. And listen, guys, when you call, there's a possibility that someone might answer. There's a greater possibility you're going to get voicemail. And explain to them your feelings. Tell them how you feel. I don't care. Kress said, be polite. You just be straight to the point with them. You don't have to be polite. Tell them how you feel. I know what you're saying.
Don't threaten them. Don't say, you're a jerk and call them obscene names. Call this special session USOB. We don't need that. All we need is, hey, we're demanding, as the people of Missouri,
There you go.
for the governor to call a special session to stand up for our freedoms, for our liberties, and why? Against these mask mandates, against the tyrannical overreach of the Biden administration.
The fact that if you don't do this, you've got to make a choice to either take a shot or lose your job.
Which I know most of our listeners are against all that.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, why in the world? Who would ever think that our government, the United States of America, would have this much control over our constituents? We just want to make sure that everybody knows. You know, I hate to even bring this up. I did bring it up out of an emotional time in a meeting not too long ago with a group called We the People. And if you don't know about that group, you really need to check into their Facebook page. It's We the People of Eastern Jackson County. Go on, look at it, like it, because that is an awesome group. It's growing like crazy, and it's just like-minded people. If you like this podcast, you will like that group. So just get out, take a look at their Facebook, understand that this is a great group. They provide lots of good information. They're very much like-minded to what this podcast is.
When do they
about.
meet?
They meet the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. over at the Lake Lotawana Sportsman's Club. So again, it's local, it's awesome, and if there's people outside of this area, call me, call the club, and get information on it.
So
We'll provide that information so you can start your own group if you're outside of this area.
if you want people to call you, what number do they want you to call you? What number do they need to call you at?
Why don't you call me? I'll just put out the office number, which is 573 751 1487. Once again, 573 751 1487. And either I or my assistant Sarah will answer, and we'll get you the information that you're looking for.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're talking about We the People and trying to promote them as well. You guys, they really are a great group to go to get a lot of information. This last week, they talked about the defunding of a couple of the city councilmen, defunding of Mayor Quentin Lucas. I don't know if we want to touch on Quentin Lucas. We might next time.
Yeah,
but
yep.
But also there's a lot of different groups getting together, and including the We the People that we're all trying to get together, because we see that we're starting to lose. The Republicans are starting to lose Lee's Summit, which is unfathomable, because Lee's Summit is a very, very Republican city. But the Democrats have taken a stranglehold over it, and they're starting to move out to Eastern Jackson County as well. So what I'm trying to say is conservatives, Republicans are starting to get really involved and trying to take their city back. And if you want to be a part of that, show up to these groups, because that's what they're trying to work on. All these separate conservative groups are getting together, going to We the People, talking about what they're doing, trying to run for school board, trying to run for city council. And that's what we as conservatives really need to do. It's come together and talk about this and actually put up some candidates that can win these seats against these Democrats that are ruining our school districts, that are ruining these cities, and ultimately ruining this country.
It's very true, but I am excuse me, I am starting to see that movement happening. It's growing. And we're, like you said, we're getting more and more. I started to say something about the We the People and the emotional time that I got involved with. My frustrations were running high. And quite frankly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it on this podcast.
Okay.
And that's about what do the Democrats do when they don't like something or they want something to happen? They pull together as a group and they protest. And they protest until it turns into riots. We need to get together as a people and protest civilly, without the rioting, but to make sure that your voices are heard. And I want to try to do that. Unfortunately, I'm running into issues that, as a legislator, it puts me in a bad position. But I would be glad, and I'm saying this on the air right now, I'll be glad to help organize and help you push this thing down. But you as a group who are hurting right now and having to make these decisions, I will help you organize, and we'll get you down in front of the governor's office and make sure that he understands and hears your voices. That's, I think, Kress, you asked me at the very beginning, what can we do? I'm out of options. I don't have anything.
I think everybody else is out of options.
Well, no, they're not.
That's what I'm saying. What do we do?
They're not out of options, because this is an option. When something, it doesn't happen in the normal way, you have to stand up and let your voices be heard.
Use our First Amendment right.
That's right, exactly. Get together, go down to the Capitol, go down to the governor's mansion, and tell him how you feel.
Peacefully and patriotically, as Trump would say.
There you go.
Protest.
We're not talking about going down and tearing things up and making threats. We're talking about going down as a people and letting him know what's going on in your life and letting him know how these things that are going on out there affect you.
We need to make it loud and make it known.
Very loud.
We don't need to tear stuff up, but make it loud, right?
No civil unrest, just your voice. That's
just
all
your voice.
that needs to happen.
So let me tell the listeners here. You and I have been talking about this for quite some time, and the concern came up from not only you but myself and other people on the team that when you put your tax bill out there, the governor's ultimately going to have to sign it. If he sees that your name is attached to this tax bill, all that work that you have done for the past 2 years, we going around the state, we talking to different groups, going to different counties around the state, getting everybody involved, it's going to go out the window. He's going to say, oh, Representative Jeff Coleman is the one that organized this protest in front of my mansion. I'm not going to sign his bill. The governor's going to want to play politics. This is beyond playing politics, guys. He's wanting to play with your livelihood. This is not right. I won't speak for you, but I'll speak on myself. This is not right. The governor should not be playing with our livelihood. The governor should not be playing politics with our livelihood. Downright to it. What he needs to do is man up, grow a set, grow a backbone, stop being weak-kneed, limp-wristed, as most of these Republicans in Washington, D.C., and what we're seeing at the state level now, grow a backbone like Ron DeSantis is. I brought this up the last podcast. Grow a backbone. Do something about it. Stand up for the people of Missouri. You won by double digits, Governor. You won by double digits. Do something about this.
Wow, I don't know what to say after that.
I mean, it fires me up. I'm sorry, but it fires me up.
Well, and rightfully so, because when you get constituents calling you, and they're just at their last,
they're at their wits' end.
They don't have anything else they know what to do, and they're forced to make a decision. And I know that the leftists are going to say, well, make the right decision. Well, the right decision. You tell me what the right decision is. The right decision for them is what's best for them in their life, and that, in this case, is not taking the vaccine. If you want to take the vaccine, I am 100% behind you. Take the vaccine.
You know what that's called?
Liberty. It's called freedom.
What's the definition of that, real quick?
Liberty. Well, if you want the definition, that right out of the textbook, you can get that from the Oxford definition. And liberty is the state of being free within society from oppression, oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views.
Okay, stop right there. So the vaccine mandate, is that liberty?
No.
Why?
Because it's imposed on us by the authority.
Okay.
It's exactly what what the definition states.
So, what is the definition of freedom?
The definition of freedom is the power or the right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint.
Okay. So we have the right to speak and to act without hindrance or restraint. So if we're going, oh man, this vaccine is still not even approved by the CDC. It's still not out there in the public, but they're forcing me to take this. That's restraint. That's hindrance. Is that freedom?
Absolutely not. And you're going to get pushback because the left's going to come back and say, you know what, Kress? It is approved by the FDA and the CDC. It's approved by both, which is absolutely incorrect.
False.
That's right. Because it's not approved by the FDA. It's not fully approved. It's still an experimental drug approved to continue to be used until the year 2023. That's what their definition of approved is by the FDA. Go out and look at it.
And that's what I was going to bring up for the polio vaccine. It was approved by the FDA. It wasn't experimental like the COVID vaccine is. So I'm glad we brought this up. What else can we do, Jeff? I'm sorry. We got on a little rabbit trail with the that silly thing of freedom and liberty. I mean, you were talking about what else can we do to get a hold of the governor, and what else can the citizens of Missouri do? Organizing a protest or something to go down to the Missouri Capitol, to go to the actual governor's mansion. Why would we go to the governor's mansion opposed to the Capitol?
Well,
and how would they organize?
First of all, the governor's mansion, we know that he lives there the majority of time. The Capitol, you can go to the Capitol, but you got to go out in front of his office because there's nobody there at the Capitol during the week. There's maybe a handful of reps, a handful of senators that are there working on other legislation, but it's not full. So you got to go to the person who this affects the most, and that's the governor. And that's you go to his office or you go to the mansion, one of the two. Again, civilly. We got to make sure your voices are heard, but we don't want to tear things up. We don't want to get into somebody saying that we've got an insurrection of the Capitol.
Of the governor's mansion.
Gosh.
We don't need that.
Yeah. So how to organize that's a good question. We've got to find some leaders in the community who are willing to take up that task and push that road. And I will help, but I can't take on the lead role on this.
Maybe it's you listening. Whoever's listening right now saying, I would like to take the lead role in this. Please send us an email, citizens4jeffcoleman@gmail.com. Call his office. Well, this is a campaign issue. Let's not call your office for a campaign issue. I don't want to get you in trouble. So we can probably text or call your campaign.
This is not a campaign issue. This is a life issue. Call my office. I don't care.
Fair enough.
This is not a campaign issue. Sorry, Kress. I'm not putting you under the bus.
No, please. No, you're not.
But this is a life issue. This is an issue that's important to everyone that has to make this decision. And just call my office. We'll direct you or help you put this together and get you down there to get your voice heard.
That's very good. There is a fuzzy gray line between both of them, and sometimes you know where it's at, sometimes you don't. I just don't want to, tell people and end up stepping on the wrong toes and getting everybody in trouble.
Yeah, no, this is a legislation issue, and this is a life issue, and we've got to make sure that we're taking care of our constituents. I'm just getting sick of nobody standing up and doing anything. That's really what I'm sick of. And it goes to this, it goes to the mask, it goes to the $600. Now the IRS is going to look at our bank accounts, all these different things, and nobody's really standing up and yelling about it. We've got to start pushing back. And the one thing, I think you said something earlier, Chris, and I think this is a good segue into that issue. That the treasurer, Scott Fitzpatrick, has now said that he is not going to comply with that mandate. Yay! Yeah, absolutely.
Good job, Treasurer. Thank you. The Treasurer of the state of Missouri is not going to step up and comply with Biden's IRS intrusive mandate into our bank accounts. Never in American history has this happened before. And the Biden administration feels like they want to take it upon themselves to see what we're doing with our $600 or with minimum of $600 in our bank account coming in, going out, or just holding. Why do we have $600?
Well, I want to make that clear. It's if you have $600 in your account, any transaction, no matter the size, any transaction in or out of your bank account, the IRS is going to know. So if you go out and buy a $1.50 candy bar, they're going to know that you bought a candy bar for $1.50. If you sell your mattress for $50, they're going to know you got $50 coming in from a sale of a mattress. Here's the worst part. If you go out and buy a gun, they're going to know you bought a gun. If you buy ammunition, they're going to know you. They're going to know everything about you and every economic issue about you and your family.
So that's a good point you brought up. What if? Let's go down a little dark rabbit hole for a second. What if they're doing this just to see who's buying a firearm?
Well, that's exactly what they want to know. They want to know everything that you're doing that's political, and firearms are going to be one of the first things that they're going to want to know about.
Which is funny. Let me just put a little stamp on this and we'll move on. But which is funny. You think firearms we now look as a political on the right type of thing. Absolutely should not be. It's the left agrees with the right on our First Amendment right and our Fourth Amendment right of illegal search and seizure. Why is the Second Amendment right also not applied there? That has become so political. But let me just quote what our Missouri State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick has said. He said, "I will not turn this information over to the IRS voluntarily and will fight in court to block any attempt by the federal government to compel my office to comply with this mandate. This proposal is nonsensical and unnecessary and should be rejected by every member of Congress." End quote. So, this is the thing. This mandate, first of all, let's get the wide picture real quick. President Biden said that President Biden said that he is not going to tax the middle class. Well, you know what this is? This is a tax on the middle class. This is going to hurt the middle class more than it's going to hurt any other class structure. The middle class is the one that drives this country. The middle class is the one that pays more than its fair share in taxes. So let me ask you, Mr. President and Governor Parson, when's enough? You have trillions of dollars that you're spending on a bill right now at the federal level. When is enough going to be enough? Is this what you're trying to do to cover your ass to cover the expense of this multi-trillion-dollar bill? People aren't going to stand up for this. You're going to see more and more states come out like like Scott Fitzpatrick of Missouri.
Well, enough is enough now for me anyway. And the scary part is we're going into some of the things that happen in the beginning of a socialistic nation. You're starting to see our supply chains slow down.
Absolutely.
Our gas prices are skyrocketing.
Almost $3 a gallon.
Yep. And you've got, I just went to Costco today, and they are putting limits as to what you can now buy on certain items.
Oh, man.
So I went to...
They are limiting
to one. Like you can only buy one thing of toilet paper, one thing of water. So we're going back to the days of COVID when we first started out with COVID, and so
We see this in countries though that are very, very authoritative dictatorship. Um,
Well,
let me just bring it up: Cuba, Venezuela, these very communist, Marxist countries that do that to these people.
that were in the same boat that we're in today prior to going into what they are currently in, and that's a communistic system. So we now are the prices, our inflation is just increasing like crazy. The price of gas, the price of a loaf of bread, the price of milk, well, just the water. I paid $3.28 when before I was paying $2.99. That doesn't sound like a lot, but over the years process, and in addition to that, all the other things that went up.
Is that bottled water?
Yes, that's bottled water.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Costco bottled water. But when you start adding up all the little things, it ends up being a lot. And if your income isn't going up as fast as the inflation or the fast as the cost of the products that you're buying,
Yeah.
that's a huge tax right there. That's
Absolutely.
a tax.
Absolutely, it is.
And so we have to be careful, and we have to get out. We have to make our voices known and heard, and let them know we are not going to stand for this.
You know, it just made me a little bit depressed because I realized that after this, we're going to Costco, we're going to Sam's Club, and I guarantee that our $300 that we usually spend at the store is not going to stretch as far as it usually does.
It won't. I promise you it won't, and I hope they have some toilet paper for you.
So, Jeff, coming off of that, you know, the Biden administration is wanting to send in the FBI. First, they told the Department of Justice to look into all these people that are protesting at these school board meetings, and they're telling the FBI to look into these parents, like you, like myself, that are frustrated. And I'm talking to the listener right now, that are frustrated of what is happening in our school system. They are absolutely weaponizing the FBI on this. Jeff, what the heck is going on, buddy? What is going on? You want to talk on this since you were on the school board in Green Valley?
Yeah, this is if you're not afraid of this, you certainly should be, because again, they're bringing in the FBI being involved in your local school district. You should be, because there's no reason, zero reason, even if there is a violent outbreak at a school board meeting, the FBI is not supposed to be involved. That is a federal agency. That is if there's something that comes up in a school board meeting, that is a local issue, not a federal issue. So there is zero reason for the FBI to be involved. So even scarier is, as I was driving down the freeway, going down I-70 today, going to Costco, just on the outskirts of Blue Springs on the south side of the freeway, there's a billboard. And that billboard had a silhouette of people's heads. And the message was, if you see somebody being, what was the wording? The billboard says, if you see a hate crime of any type, please reach out to the FBI.
So, do you have parents coming to the school board and yelling at you guys about these mask mandates?
You know, when we first had the first meeting about the mask mandate, there were a lot of parents there.
One second. Let's make this clear. Let's make this very, very clear. Jeff, how did you vote for the mask in Green Valley?
I voted no for the masks.
Okay. So let's go back to the original question that I brought up then. Are the parents upset? Are they coming into the school board? Are they yelling at you guys?
You know, the very first when we voted whether we were going to have the mask mandate or not, the room was full. And no, there wasn't one person in that room that yelled or screamed, but they did bring their point, and they got this. They got to make their statement, both for and against. And quite honestly, there were many, many more people who voted against, that wanted us to vote against the mask mandate, than the people that wanted it. I would say it was like 90% to 10%. And so the school board, obviously listening to the people, said, no, we're going to continue to have the mandate, because they're afraid of Jackson County, and which is just unbelievable to me. How can we are there to do what the people asks us to do, and yet we turn against them and vote yes on the mask mandate? We, not me. I'm talking about the school board as a majority. There were 2 people on the school board that voted against that mask mandate.
Right, I was going to bring that up. So
Yeah.
there's 2 people that I saw that voted against this mask mandate. It was you and one other person.
Correct, Tisha Homfeld.
Okay.
And so it's just incredible that when the people who vote for you and put you in that office are telling you, no, we don't want you to vote for this, and yet we vote for it as a whole. It's just incredible. That's the way that's just a microcosm of what our whole system is, right? People in office are not afraid of you. The government is not afraid of the people, because the people haven't done anything. And isn't that the opposite of what's supposed to be?
Wait a second. The elected officials in office are not afraid of the people?
They are not afraid of the people. And I don't care what level of politics you're in. You can go from the lowest level, which is the school board.
Why is that?
Because people don't get involved. People haven't shown.
The citizens
The citizens have not shown that they are going to do anything about the frustrations that they might have. They're not going to vote against people. They're not going to get involved, and that's exactly what has to happen. So, as a people, it's our fault.
So, do you think you are standing up for your constituents and doing what they're asking you to do? The majority of your constituents?
I absolutely am. The majority of my constituents do not want mask mandates. The majority of my constituents do not want vaccine mandates. There's going to be those people out there that are going to get on my Facebook, and they're going to start talking, and they're the loudest voice on Facebook. And it's going to make it look like there's a ton of people out there that want the mask mandates and they want this vaccine. But that's not the majority.
So let me ask you this then. At your school board meeting, how many people showed up that wanted the mask mandate, and why they wanted the mandate to begin with?
I can't give you an exact number, but it was a minority. There was probably less than 10 people out of a room of close to 70.
10 out of 70.
Well, and I'm not even saying it was 10. It was less than 10. I just can't give you an exact number.
But what was the reason that they wanted the mask mandate?
It's what all the people that say they want the mask mandate. They are there trying to protect everybody in the whole room. They think that it's your responsibility to protect everyone around you. And if you don't, you're a horrible, horrible person.
So, Jeff, why did the school board, other than them being afraid of Jackson County, why else would the school board want the mask mandate?
It just goes back to the point where they're afraid of what Jackson County will do to them.
That's it.
That's it. Period. There's nothing more to it.
Oh my gosh. Isn't the school board its own entity?
It is. Yep, it is. And it's its own little
government entity.
That's right. And they get to do what they want to do. It's their decision, nobody else's.
But they're still scared of Jackson County's health department.
Well, because I will tell you this, Jackson County, in defense of the administration, Jackson County has indicated to them that they can put them in jail and fine them.
Are you serious?
That's exactly what they said. And I actually went to the Attorney General's office, asked them, and they indicated to me that there's not enough information, because this is all brand new. There's not enough information out there to say whether they can or they can't. So they did not take a position on it.
My guy, this is mind-boggling to me. This is mind-boggling to me. I cannot believe that that Jackson County Health Department would place people like you in jail from the school board, or teachers, administrators in jail over not complying with their mask mandate, when the school board is a totally separate entity of its own.
Well, this is a flaw in the bill that we just passed into law about curbing their powers. It started out as a good opportunity to make sure that the powers of the local health departments don't get so powerful. But unfortunately, it gave them a 30-day range of being able to shut down or put a mask mandate out. And then after that period, they had to go to their local board and ask their permission. And if the local board could then vote for them to extend that out, and then the next time the local board has to come out and they have to have a 3/4 vote again. They have to have 75% of the people.
Okay. So is that why Mayor Quentin Lucas is able to continually 30 days renew his mask mandate?
Every 30 days, because guess what they have? They have a majority, a super majority in their city council. They have a super majority in
Democrats.
Of Democrats. They have a super majority in the Jackson County legislature of Democrats. So there's always going to be a mask mandate as long as they want it to be. So
Pish.
just know that this next session, I will be putting in a bill that will amend that down to, I'm going to try to go for 14 days, 2 weeks, and they get 2 weeks from the health department. They'll get 2 weeks from their local board, and then it has to go to the general session.
To the legislature?
Yep.
Wow. So they can get up to 4 weeks total, and then it has to come to the legislature.
That's correct.
And the legislature would probably vote?
The legislature will do their research. They'll have debate on it, and they'll have the head of the state medical division come in and give us information, and then we will make the decision for that county. If there needs to be a mask, you'll have the general assembly make that decision at that time. If there doesn't need to be a mask, they'll take that power away from the local. That's what should happen.
So this is some good information that we're getting right now, and it's about time to wrap up. But let me ask you this last question. Will there be a provision on there for the local municipality, whatever it may be, to say, okay, let's put the scenario up. Let's hypothetically do this. The city says, okay, we have 2 weeks to implement this mask mandate. Sorry, we're going to implement this mask mandate for 2 weeks. And then it goes where for 2 weeks?
Then it goes back to their local board.
Local board as in?
So the health department gets their 2 weeks.
The health department gets their 2 weeks.
Then
okay.
It goes back to their local board who they report to, which Kansas City, as an example, would be the Jackson County Health Department.
Okay.
Then it goes back to the Kansas City City Council.
And they would decide probably in favor for 2 weeks.
That's right.
And then after that,
it would go back to the legislature.
And then the legislature, is there a provision in there, anything that the city, the health department can come back and say, give us another 2 weeks, or how long would you guys give them?
No.
No.
Because it's my bill. I will be putting in my language, And if it passes, then in my circumstances, it's only about whatever the medical director of the state dictates.
The medical director of the state dictates. Right. Wow.
But,
Okay.
But the medical director of the state will be coming to the legislature to let them know his direction or her direction as to what they feel should be happening.
Wow.
The legislature, 163 and 163 House members and 34 Senate members would then determine what direction they want to go based upon the medical information and science that the state medical director gives them.
Wow. Okay, and that's the bill you're going to file, and that's how it's going to go.
That's the bill I'm going to file, and that's what it's going to do.
Well, Jeff, I know the last podcast we inadvertently had Coleman's Corner as a wrap-up. Let's go ahead and do that again. Let's do a Coleman's Corner as we wrap up. Give me your final thoughts here, everything we talked about, and what needs to happen moving forward.
Yeah, well, just to wrap up, again, we need to, as a citizenry, we need to get together. We need to make our voices heard to the right people, and that's going to be down at the governor's mansion, the governor's office. And it has to be civil. We can't be rioting and tearing things up and creating havoc at the Capitol. That's not what we're calling for. We're just calling for you to be able to voice your opinions to the governor when we're not able to do that right now. The other thing is make sure that you call him. Call his office and call him multiple times. Email him directly from you and make sure that he knows that you are calling and emailing for your benefit, and that if you're watching him, you want him to make the choices that are going to make sure that you keep your jobs and don't have to make the choice of taking the jab. The other thing is keep going out to the school board meetings. Do not be afraid or intimidated by this administration, the Biden administration, because of the FBI. Keep going out. Keep making sure that they are doing the right thing for your kids, that they are teaching the basics of helping your children in the way you want them to help them. Make your voices heard at your school board meetings as well. So, I think to boil it all down, finally, we're seeing a movement. We're getting people out, and we're starting to see the pushback, and the pushback in a civil way. And we just got to keep that going and make your voices loud, because that's what the opposition does. And the louder voices are the ones that win. So keep going to your meetings. Keep going to the people of leadership and making sure that they know where you stand, and let your voices be heard. And guys, thank you so much. Anything I can do, you always know I'm here. We appreciate you, and we're here to serve you. Thanks again, guys.
One more time, can you give out the governor's phone number for the office, the governor's office number?
The governor's phone number is 573.
Not his personal number, but the office.
We would never give you the governor's personal phone number, I promise you. But his office number, 573-751-3222. Once again, 573-751-3222. And again, till next time, guys, have a great week and make your voices heard. Thanks again.
See you guys next time. Thanks for listening.